Thanks to the man who's in the program booth, whose name is Heinz. This is coming toward you throughout the world. And I pray, Heinz seemed like a nice guy. I just met him. I hope he is wealthy as the ketchup people. You might have guessed this show is AHA, which stands for A Human Among Humans. We have a great human here.
Wow. I didn't know that. Oh, that's what you meant.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. A human among humans. One of my goals in life. You've helped me become a human among humans. If I can get along with you. No. And my name is Michael Koran, your host. And we're looking at the cameras. Underneath those cameras we can see. So that's the people who love us. It's hard to see next to those two white, but those are all the people who are going to come to your workshops eventually.
Well, that's part of the reason I'm here. I did present a couple of workshops recently. One went pretty good. One I'm not sure about, but I was trying to get a website together on an issue. For now, I'm using the phrase body dialogue and social issues. So the dialoguing with oneself, or getting a felt sense, or even just a intuition or an image, or a sense in the body of how something is for you. And then I wanted to kind of meld that with societal issues. Like in the workshop I did recently, one person focused on Ukraine and all social justice issues and other things, and it was more like bringing them closer to oneself and the personal connection to those issues rather than they being out there. So I was exploring that, and I realized when I was trying to get a website together, there's a man named Yuri from, he's actually originally from Israel. He was in the Israeli army, and he's now in Italy with his wife, and his wife's about to have a second child, and he's been putting a website, and you say, well, you don't tell me, I'm not able to talk about it. Sometimes I'll just do it in a kinesthetic way and then have other people kind of join in. But I'm not, so I'm here to articulate it, and then I'd love to come back and maybe do more of kind of a workshop with it, or lead people who happen to be listening in it a little bit. But we can maybe do a little bit of that tonight. I just want to kind of free up what it is to talk about that. So I got to ask you a question. Did what I just say now make sense?
Yes, our audience is this, by the way, is Anthony Donahoe.
Okay.
If you haven't already guessed. And we're really into articulation.
Oh, okay.
So we're honored that you're going to articulate.
It's beautiful.
What your life is about.
Well, I mean, it's about this particular project, but it's all connected, right?
It's all, you see, already we're getting deep wisdom in 3 minutes into the show. It's all connected.
Yeah. So it's a bit like, if you mind if I just kind of jump into things?
I want you to take over as you usually do.
Oh my gosh, okay. So it's a little bit like, if you out there and were to focus on, like, when you get a hunch about something in the body, and if you focus on something like Eugene Genlin's work, which from Chicago University, where you went to school, and he was a professor there, and I like his, and you sent some stuff of his recently. I'm in Michael's World's Religions class, which is really good, like amazing amount of territory in a short period of time. That's just kind of startling. It's been hugely, it goes deep and you wouldn't even know it. So it's just amazing work there. A religion a week, a whole religion a week. Wow.
Yeah, which I'm teaching you this summer at the Cambridge Center for Adult Education.
Oh, so in person?
Maybe in person, maybe it's because of COVID online, but people can register if they're moved by your ringing endorsement.
Right. Well, what I could imagine, like with the, let me just veer left. I could imagine with each religion, there's a different feeling tone.
Wow.
With each, when you get some of the background original history, there's a different feeling tone. You can sense it in your body, and you can sense some deliberate articulation there. That is visionary, and it makes sense. But at the same time, all the religions seem to make a certain type of sense or have an atmosphere about them that they're speaking some truth to something, and it's a felt truth. And I guess it's maybe some of the truths are later over explained and maybe a bit disassociated. Just like some of the social issues, like if I'm overwhelmed by what's happening in Ukraine, I don't even know where to begin. So if I was facilitating a group, and again, I'd be kind of tuning into each person. Sometimes having a few more people really helps ground the group. Would have people feel into, their body first, and then their body, how it responds to an issue. Like maybe we'd have 5 issues out there. Like, what's an issue for you, Michael, that pops in a lot, that seems a little overwhelming? We'll get to the most overwhelming one, but like, what's one that pops in now and again on a regular basis?
I'm not sure this is an answer. My brother Len was telling me how upset he was about Ukraine.
Yeah.
And retreating to my mind as often when things are a little challenging. I said, well, what about what we did to Chile, what the United States did to Iran, what we did to Vietnam? That's
okay. So that
Iraq. That's equally. And he said, you're too much in your head. Feel it, Michael, which is what you're saying.
Well, not just. Let me get out of your coughing.
Oh, sorry.
This is another issue. What do you call it? COVID.
Oh my!
Get into that.
Yes, if I was a sensitive host.
No. But we could take that on as a social issue.
Yes.
But so with that. But what he was, so he wanted. I mean, in retrospect, he wanted you just to hear him on it.
He wanted me to feel how horrible it is.
Okay.
And I was seeing it in.
Right, but I would say though that you can feel that, and there's a place where, like in presentation of this work, where you would feel how the bad it is or the worse it is, but you would feel it in the body, not just on a mental, emotional level. Yeah, you know this. Yeah, but I just telling you, you would feel it in a body level, where you could catch your breath, because something like Ukraine is a hard thing to feel into. And you need a little time and slowing down to catch the breath. The brain, our mind will want to talk about it and move through it, and isn't it horrible, and get people to agree so we can have at least one set point of view. But even getting agreement that it's horrible is hardly resourceful after a while. It's just some agreement that it's horrible. So it's a shared experience. But, there's such a thing as shared hypnotic trances too. So from that worst place, from this horribleness, what is a way to move forward? I mean, I know for me with the Ukraine thing, like in Jenilyn's work, the next step for me was to send out a particular donation. I know a Ukrainian woman whose mother had just died, and then on her funeral, memorial online, there was a particular charity that she cared about in Ukraine. And the mother just died just before the thing came in, the invasion. So I sent some money to there, and then something came up with my niece. So I'm getting all these personal connections. So it's the personal connection to the big issue that I think is really important. So I can feel into it. If it's just this thing, I have to find a way to empathize with the situation. So whatever. So in the workshop, you would tune into like a next step with a larger issue, and it would be tangible, and it either could be that you're going to take it on and feel into it and ground it, catch your breath with it, not force your breath, but take a moment to feel how overwhelming it is.
Oh my God.
And then to allow space for that overwhelm. And then maybe a breath arrives and it begins to calm down. and you feel more resourceful going forward. And then in the workshop, we would specify, you would find out what ways are just right for you, the individual, to go forward with that. And then more has unraveled around this Ukraine thing for me. I'm meeting someone from there on Sunday for brunch in downtown Boston. But other things have happened with that too. So it's sort of like I feel, okay, well, I feel connected there. It's not just this happening, oh, isn't it bad? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, but it may be bad, and I'm feeling somewhat active with that situation. That it's not a depressing things I have to get on the news and get information about and feel depressed. I found a way to be expressed around it where I can do something, and that's right. And of course, I just want to say I ran a workshop years ago in Ireland on this subject, and I noticed a lot of people. I think they were German who worked for Greenpeace. They were in that. A lot of them came to my workshop, and a lot of them were very much activists in Greenpeace and doing. But at the same, in their situation, they were a bit overwhelmed. They were almost doing too much, and there wasn't enough self involved. They were kind of shutting their way. After a while, inspiration got them involved initially and wanting to make a difference, but after a while, it became. I should be doing this, and they started getting jaded and a little bit depressed, and they needed some individual expression. So for them, doing the work, realized, oh, I have to be somehow at home in myself for my particular individual situation while I do service. Well, so, and the service has to be an expression, a personal expression as well. It's not just something I join and lose myself in. So we're talking about a certain level of self-integrity, not martyrdom or sacrificial kind of helping, which always seems to have a shadow side and turns on us. I've done that, and it's definitely, I've had, some dues to pay on that one. So maybe that's part of the reason I'm sharing that, this work. Anyway, I'll pause there, have a drink.
The shadow side is...
Well, if I'm doing something, if maybe I'm sort of virtue signaling myself that I should be doing this, and I'm doing it as a should rather than getting an authentic, heartfelt connection to the situation. And so I can go at a pace that has. So I'm actually present. Like I think down here you have MIT. There's a Social Presencing Institute, right?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I think Otto Scharmer is the guy who runs that, and there's a similar take on that. I don't know too much about that work, but it is at MIT, and Otto Scharmer is the guy. I connected to him a little bit through Thomas Hubel's work, but they run the similar workshops. I think he uses the felt sense a little bit too, and then he's got this thing on compassion. It's slightly heady for me. I mean, I just checked it out online, but that is a resource for people if they wanted to check out the Social Presencing Institute, which is right here in Cambridge. And there's ways you can do workshops online with that. I did do a booklet, which I either left in the car, or hopefully I didn't lose it on the way here, and I gave a copy to Eugene Gendelin on the felt sense, so I'm not sure what they didn't get back to me on it, but he was, at some point, some people were trying to move into, from the felt sense to a social direction, and usually what happened was people would go to one particular area. I think it was children in Afghanistan and doing steps there, but this way that I feel that this can be done quite succinctly is picking a number of issues. For example, if I wrote a few issues on this pad here, like what's an issue? Would I just name an issue?
Oh, for me?
Any issue. You would list 5.
Sure. Well, just when you talked about Ukraine and wanting
Right.
me to feel it, I can feel screams,
Okay.
tears.
Okay, you can feel those?
Well, as soon as you mentioned you suggested we feel it in our body.
Okay. So for now, with Ukraine written down, we'll put this over here.
Okay.
Okay. So we feel it. So we're doing a clearing process here. We take on an issue because we might be overwhelmed with a lot of issues all at once. And so we pick one issue, we feel it. Do you feel that in your body at all, or?
Yes, I feel tears and a scream in my
Okay.
chest area.
All right. So you feel it, you put it aside. You don't get an issue and disassociate. Michael associates and senses it in his system, and he's probably pretty good with that. So an artist might do a little drawing. I remember when I crushed my leg in '86, I used to dialogue with the pain. This is before I knew about felt sense. I would dialogue and get a response back, and I noticed if I would do something, the pain would ease up, and I never took drugs for that. But but you can imagine crushed leg. So I know it works in the body, dialoguing. So that's Ukraine over there. So again, we're applying to social issues tonight. What's another issue?
Oh, these are social ones.
Yes.
Oh, the murders in school.
The murders. Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my God, I haven't processed that at all yet. Murders in school. And just stay with that for a moment, Michael. Let's just be with it, and let's give it some space to be there, because it's happening. It's happening in the world. Yeah, I mean, just feel it. Actually, I'm going to feel it myself. Yeah, it's just whatever you want to do with your body is fine. Feeling heaviness in the arms. Yeah, it feels like, for me with that one, it's just like permission to feel it and let that be for now. Too soon to jump into action or reaction. Or if I jump into action, I would be reacting. And it feels like the heaviness, the grief. For me, it feels like that. How's it feel for you?
Some ways the same thing. Tears in my eyes, a scream in my throat.
Feel something in your throat.
Pain in my heart.
And that throat thing, that the scream, what is there a tension there, or is it blocked feeling, or what is this?
It's not blocked. I mean, I'm not expressing it.
It's just some anger? No? I'm sorry, I'm just...
Yes, no. Rage, sure.
Okay, well, all right. So this just happens. Been happening. Wow, what was it? Twice in a week we've had some.
Yeah. Well, we had the killing in the school, and then the other one in the Block supermarket in Buffalo.
Right, in New York and in Texas. Yeah. All right. So for now, Michael, with that, so you brought it into the space. I'm glad you did. So. You could imagine anybody who has someone who died. You can always find a personal way into an issue, and it's funny. We could talk about, or I could talk about. And Michael made this distinction earlier before we got here. We could talk about a situation, or we could talk from it. And Michael just mentioning that is like, yeah, it's sort of. Well, I feel like we're swimming in it or something, and we have to go slower and feel the implications, and feel even a resourcefulness inside it. But right now, feel the loss of these children, and there's no, for me anyway, there's no easy way out of it. But I feel like a way forward right now is to respect it by feeling it and slowing down around it, rather than getting more news about it, which it might be okay too. I mean, everybody has their different way of dealing with it. I'm going to put this over here for now. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, actually, I just got a pain right here in the chest. So with a body feeling, you could explore that particular sensation. Michael had images like a tear and rage, and sometimes it's good to get just the physical textures of it, and give them space to be, and without pushing a breath or taking a false breath, let the breath come naturally, or let the exhale come naturally, and be with it. I don't know if this is a visual medium, so I'm not sure how this stuff is going to come across here. It's a little hard to almost shift on to a different issue with this just happening. Maybe it won't. Maybe we'll just leave those two there. So that's a sample of feeling into an issue, and then getting into the worst place, like how this issue makes you feel, and then finding a way to be resourceful there. But now, before, if we're doing some work with this, we would get into some resourcefulness around that. We do something like imagining all the care you have going on now in your life, like all the care that's going on. I have my care going out here. I have care in this relationship. I have care here. I got more care than I even care to think of. I probably got a lot of care going on, and some of it is quite unconscious. I'm just using this as an idea. This may not be true, but I feel this to be true. So what if I brought all that care back in right now? That those people or things I'm caring about somehow will still exist, okay, without my mind sending them care right now. Maybe I could just pull all my energy back in. And what would that be like in my body if I pull all my caring back in right now, just to feel like I had that. I had that care as a choice in deciding where I want to put it, like a conscious decision, not leftover cares from my I kind of want to say contrived self, but my presentational self in society, and my protective self, and these ways of describing self. I mean, I would even want to argue, and I haven't done so yet, that the self is a social issue in itself, quotes. So the self is a social issue in itself, and we could play with that more. I mean, that lends to something.
And by that you mean that the self that most of us identify with is constructed by our society and our...
Yeah, and we've chosen different multiple. We've chosen different things. We could say, well, I'm an artist, and all that artist means, or I'm this type of artist, not that type of artist. So I have very particular ways of defining myself, or certain clothes represent me, and certain tones of voice, and certain ways that we all have values, but then I can turn them into virtue signaling because that's who I am. And we could deconstruct a lot of that, I think, and find out, boy, I'm putting a lot of energy out on that. Let me pull some of that energy back in. And actually, maybe signaling an embodied virtue that I really is a good use of my energy, whatever, given my age, given what my energy level is right now. What's a good one to take on that I feel like it can make a difference, or that resonates with me? What's an issue out there that resonates with me? For some reason that keeps following me around. Is it the social injustice? Yeah, it's everything. And when I'm logged into that and I have a self around that, I see it everywhere. There's no break from it. And maybe I need to kind of pull back, refresh, I guess, on the computers, and find a way to refresh, and then go take a look at it again and see where it's a good use of it. Because these issues can fatigue us. I had a few... I had a few people. I had a variety of different cultures in my first workshop, and you could just see how the fatigue was. And they thought, well, I'm this way, I'm this color, so therefore I should take on this issue, but I would like to have a choice about it. And just because it's in the news now and I'm of that group, I would like to have a choice where I want to put my caring energy, and I want to include myself along with it, and just the right amount for me. And I don't want to be socially cued into being virtuous that way. I want to be some kind of some virtue here, again, and sometimes I just referenced deconstructing the self, which is, I don't know, it's a big it's a big thing to take on. Like, who we think we are? Are we who we think we are? Are we who we feel we are? And who's this we that we're talking about? Maybe I'm going too far out. I should stick to the subject at hand. But anyway, that's a pet.
No, that could be very important to healing the world, really. If we discover one, my therapist said, once we give room to all ourselves, we allow great spaciousness inside.
Yeah. I think that idea of giving room Giving
And
room.
we could be many, many selves.
Yeah. But then I could get busy collecting a bunch of selves and, you know, and then put those selves on a, well, I was going to play with that self-help, you know, shelf-help. Put them on. We could do a lot of selves, and I think we're a myriad of, so it's like, what's that thing in your religious class, Ilium, the many, the multiple, or what's the name of Yahweh in that,
Oh, Elohim, you think?
Elohim, okay.
Elohim is usually translated as God in the Hebrew Bible, but it can be seen as a plural word.
A plural word, yeah. So look at all the energy we're trying to put into being singular at times, and then, of course, then look at all the time energy we're putting into be a multiple. Many things to many people, so we could even play with that. I mean, I'm using that reference point of say it again,
Elohim.
Elohim.
Yeah.
You know, I heard that name in the 70s, and I thought it was wonderful because it had multiple about it. In the book I read, which is probably not true, it said multiple and feminine as well. But I guess it means multiple and feminine and masculine, or
It could be both. Elohim said, "Let us make humanity in our image, male and female." And then it goes back to the
wow. No. Just as you said that, I got a sense of a burden. Let us make humanity in our image.
yes.
Oh no, I got to be in somebody else's image. Oh no. Oh, what a burden.
Well, if Elohim is somewhat mysterious, however,
Okay.
which it is,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have the particular defined goal that you have to be. You can be with your mystery.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's beautiful.